Hi, I'm Josh with the Boonshoff Museum of Discovery in Dayton, Ohio, here in our Discovery Zoo on the Discovery Stage, presented by Medmark. Today, we'll be visiting with Stephanie. She's going to share some information on poisonous and venomous animals.
Thank you, Josh. And like Josh said, today we are going to be learning the difference between poison and venom. Now, Lennox here is a ball python, and ball pythons are not poisonous or venomous. And actually, most snakes that you think about, if you think about a snake being very dangerous, it's going to be a venomous snake, like a rattlesnake. Rattlesnakes, they have hollow fangs in their mouth, and those hollow fangs are used to inject the venom into you when they bite you. While poisonous animals, there are only a few poisonous snakes, only just a few different species of poisonous snakes, and poisonous animals are the animals that if you eat them, it's going to make you sick. So venom is used in a way for an animal to kill its food. So a snake is going to bite its food, inject that venom, it's going to kill its food using that venom, while poison is more used as a defense mechanism. And really poison, I like to think poison's really not the best way for an animal to protect itself. And we'll meet some poisonous animals here in just a second and talk about how they get their poison and how they use their poison to protect themselves. All right, and now we are going to meet some poisonous animals. So in front of me here, I have 4 different species of dart frogs, and we have 4 different species living here at the Boonshoff Museum. We actually have a total of 17 dart frogs living here. And if you've ever looked in our dart frog habitat, you probably aren't going to see all 17 dart frogs. Some of them are very shy and like to hide for most of the daytime, but we'll talk about their different individual habits, their different individual behaviors. But our dart frogs here at the museum are actually not poisonous, which is really great because some of these dart frogs are very, very dangerous in the wild. So dart frogs are fascinating. They actually get the poison and their toxins from the foods they eat. So in the wild, they eat poisonous insects, and they steal the poison, the toxins from those insects, and they use that poison to protect themselves. Now, poison really isn't the greatest way for an animal to protect itself. And we'll talk about how these dart frogs kind of get around that and what they do differently from some other poisonous animals. But for the most part, for poison to work, it means you have to get eaten by something. We talked about poison is an animal, if you put it in your mouth, if you eat it, it's going to make you sick. So a lot of times for poison to actually work, that animal has to be eaten. So we'll talk about what how these dart frogs are poisonous and how they're different from each other. So the first species we're going to be talking about today is our least toxic, which is the green and black poison dart frog. And as we look through our species today, you'll notice that some of them are very brightly colored. And for them, they use those bright colors like a stop sign to say, hey, I'm very dangerous, very toxic. If you eat me for dinner, it's not going to end very well for you. But you can see with our green and black dart frog here, he is not as brightly colored as some of the other species, which tells us he is not as toxic. So for them, they don't really use their colors like the other dart frogs as a warning sign. They use their colors more for camouflage to help them hide in the leaves, which is why they're more of a greenish color and less brightly colored than the other dart frogs. They are the least toxic, and they are probably, them and our bumblebee dart frogs are the 2 smallest species that we have living in our habitat. And the second dart frog we have today is our blue dart frog, also called Azurius dart frog sometimes. Now these are very closely related to the green and black dart frogs, a little bit larger. They are a little bit more brightly colored, so that means they're a little more toxic than the green and black dart frogs. And you can see as well, our blue dart frogs are the best climbers of the 4 species. So they spend a lot more time up in the trees, while the other 3 species spend more time on the ground. The third species we're going to be talking about today is our bumblebee dart frog. We have 4 of these living in our habitat. Of our 4 species, these are probably the shyest. So a lot of times you might not see a bumblebee dart frog on a normal visit to the museum, but if you look closely, if you look underneath the leaves, you may see one, and they are the 3rd most toxic of our species. They're the 3rd most brightly colored, so the 3rd most dangerous. And the 4th and final species of dart frog I have with me today is our golden dart frog. Now the golden dart frogs that we have here at the museum are more of a minty color, but in the wild they would normally be a bright yellow or a bright gold color. So they are the most toxic species of dart frog that lives here at the Boonshoff Museum, and they're actually one of the most poisonous species of dart frog in the entire world. I have heard the poison from a golden dart frog to kill up to 10 people. So they are very dangerous and very, very poisonous. This species is actually also endangered as well. So they are one of the few endangered species that lives here at the Boonshoff Museum. We have a total of 3. They are a little bit larger than our other dart frogs, and also they're poisonous. So they are a little bit more brave than the other dart frogs. They spend a lot more time out in the open because they know we're big, we're dangerous. We don't really need to hide like some of the other dart frogs do. And our dart frogs here at the museum eat fruit flies. So all 4 of these dart frogs, even though I'm talking about them like they're poisonous and dangerous, all 4 of the dart frogs I have here and all 17 of the dart frogs that live here at the Boonshoft Museum are not dangerous, they're not poisonous because we do not feed them poisonous insects. Thank you all for joining me today to learn about our dart frogs, to learn about the difference between poison and venom. And remember, if it's an animal that you bite and it makes you sick, that would be a poisonous animal like our dart frogs here. Even though, remember, our dart frogs here at the museum are not poisonous, we don't feed them any toxic insects, and dart frogs are not naturally poisonous animals. They get the toxins and the poisons from the food they eat. And then a venomous animal is an animal that bites you and makes you sick. So if you think about an animal like a snake, a spider, there are lots of venomous animals out there, but usually we think about them biting us and making us sick.
Thanks, Stephanie. We really appreciate all the information you're giving us about the animals here in our Discovery Zoo. We'd like to thank you for joining us here in this video today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed. And if you happen to have a favorite animal, let us know. Thanks.